Hello and good evening. I'm Colby Taylor. I've got a question for you. Spaghetti and meatballs, Italian or not? Well, believe it or not, it's 100% American. Tonight, though, I'd like to go ahead and focus on the meatballs with you and show you how we can make them. The steps to make the meatballs consist of proper health precautions, gathering, prepping, and combining your ingredients, and lastly, cooking and enjoying your meatballs. So now we know the steps that consist of making the meatballs. Let me first start with the proper health precautions. As recommended by the CDC, or Center for Disease Control and Prevention, they recommend that you wash your hands prior to and after handling your raw meats. Washing your hands can help you eliminate bacteria that might be transferred and contaminate other ingredients, causing illnesses after ingesting the food. Also, it's always suggested when handling raw meats for cooking, you should use separate knives for your raw meats and your vegetables and other ingredients. So raw meat knife, vegetable and other ingredient knife, as well as using a separate cutting board for your raw meats. One for raw meats, one for your other ingredients. So that being said, those are some of the issues that you need to contemplate and consider when making our meatballs. So now let me go ahead and tell you about gathering, prepping, and combining our ingredients. In order to make our ultimate meatballs, you're going to start off with 1 pound of ground beef, which foodnetwork.com recommends to use 80% 20%, which is 80% lean, 20% fat. The fat is a good binding agent for your meatballs. Also, we're going to use 1 pound of ground pork and 1 pound of thick smoky bacon, which with the bacon you're going to go ahead and finely mince that bacon. Again, that's for flavor as well as another helpful agent in binding your meatballs together. You want to use 2 eggs, 1/3 of a cup of grated Parmesan, 1/2 a cup of finely diced yellow onion. We need 3 cloves of garlic, and you're going to go ahead and just chop those, give them a rough chop, and also a 1/2 a bunch of flat leaf parsley and 1/2 a bunch of basil. With those, you want to rough chop those as well. We also need 1 1/4 cup of whole milk, and we need 1/3 a cup of fine, dry, unseasoned breadcrumbs. Once we've gathered those ingredients, you're going to do all of your preparation of chopping and measuring. Take your ingredients and separate the milk and the breadcrumbs. Keep those in one area where you can mix those together until you have about the consistency of wet sand. Then take another mixing bowl and mix all of your other ingredients together. Once you've mixed those ingredients, you can then combine them into one bowl and form them into your meatballs. Go ahead and pull the meat out into your hands and form them into balls approximately about the size of a golf ball, maybe a little larger. That depends on really what you prefer, but that's what we like to do. So now we've prepped our ingredients, we've gathered them, combined them, and gotten them ready. We're going to move on to our last step, which is cooking our meatballs. So in order to cook our meatballs, first of all, you're going to want to preheat your oven. Preheat it to 350 degrees. And take you a large skillet over a medium-high heat on your stove and add about 1/4 inch of canola oil. That's preferred and suggested by Esquire.com when making the meatballs. Take your meatballs and go ahead and brown those on all sides. Once you have them brown, you can remove them and place them in a baking dish. And go ahead then and place your baking dish in that preheated oven for about 30 minutes. Just checking those until they're done. So I've told you now how to cook the meatballs. I'd like to go ahead and conclude my speech. This evening I've taught you how to make the ultimate meatballs. Remember the health precautions, gather, prep, and combine your ingredients, and the proper cooking technique. As I mentioned, meatballs might not truly be Italian, but they are delicious, and I hope you and your families enjoy making them and eating. Thank you for your time.